Money never sleeps, nor does it magically reset at the first of the month. My money doesn't disappear on the first, and I don't start every month at zero. So, in order for my management plan not to act like it does, I roll my money over month to month and any necessary expenses as well. I do this on purpose using simple spreadsheets. This is how money moves in real life. In the accounting world, it's called closing. And if you have any money or expenses left over from last month, then this video is for you. I'm going to show you how I roll my money over using simple spreadsheets. So, let's get started. Okay, so we see here my workbook here that has three windows open with three separate spreadsheets. My money, management, and moves spreadsheet. Money spreadsheet, management spreadsheet, and my moves spreadsheet. All right, so the balance at the current time is 462.94. And I got that balance from my online banking account, my online banking statement that I got off my phone or off a separate um, screen on my second monitor. After putting that balance in, there's a result of a negative balance in theory of $92.84. This balance appears because I have not yet entered any of the transactions that have happened since my last time I balanced. The last time I balanced, the total amount was $755.78 as shown right there. And I'm going to enter a thick bottom line here to signify where I last balanced, okay? So the first step in order to get to the part where we're going to be moving the money around is to first balance the spreadsheet. So, in order to do that, you have to look, or I have to look at my online banking account to see what transactions have taken place since I last balanced. All right. And I already know the total of the balance right here. So now I got to look at the transactions and put them in. All right. So since my last time I balanced, I've made a few purchases and transactions. Here's one for the first one's 50 cents. The next one's 102.50 cents. The next one after that is, and I'm looking on my online banking statement. The next one after that, 102.50 is $60 even. Enter that one. The next one after that is $28.04. And as I'm entering these, I'm making sure I didn't enter them from the last time I balanced because sometimes they overlap. So I'm checking these numbers are right here as well to make sure that the new numbers that I'm entering in aren't as the same as the numbers and the transactions that I entered before so that I don't double post. And so eventually I'll get to an overall balance of zero. All right, so after that 2804, it's gonna be 9946, but 9946 was an entry that I already made. So that's not the next entry because I already made those. It's just my bank statement is showing like that they it were entered in the same sequence. So I'm gonna skip that one and go to the next one, which is $66 even, according to my bank statement. So $66, enter that one. So I'm still out of balance by $35.80 over here on my moves spreadsheet. So I'm gonna keep entering after 66. My balance shows a entry of $28 even. I'm gonna make sure I didn't enter that one already, and I didn't. So that's a new one that I don't have yet. So I'm gonna enter that $28. Enter, and now I'm $7.80 short. And yep, that's the next entry, $7.80. So 7.80, and bam, I am balanced. That balance shows right there. All right, so now that that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and enter in some from my online banking statement. I'm going to enter in some of the what the transactions represent. So this one was a ATM inquiry, and I'm going to charge that one to my entertainment expense that automatically populated right there. And the next one was actually ATM withdrawal plus the fee, and that entered in all that. That's going to go into entertainment. The $60 was from a merchant called. I think actually that $60 was a transfer that I made to my savings account. Nope, that was also $60 was also an ATM withdrawal. All right, I'm gonna enter that for entertainment. I was doing quite a bit of entertainment that particular day. So 2804 represents a trip to a store to get some groceries. So that's going to be entered into the grocery expense. That's where that one's going to go. $66 was as a merchant. I'm going to pop that merchant in right there. And that was an entertainment merchant. And then the next one is $28 even at a restaurant. And so I'm going to go ahead and enter that one in. And that was also an entertainment meal. Okay. The last one was $7.80, and that also was at that same merchant. All right. So now that I have all of those in, I'm going to highlight all of these entries I made here, and I'm going to see what the total is down at the bottom. I see there down the very bottom there, right below this cursor that's moving, is 60 is $9 is 292. This says the sum of these highlighted amounts from point 0.5 all the way to 7.80 is a sum of down here at the bottom 292.84. That amount also appears over here on this spreadsheet because it is the amount of expenses that haven't actually been deducted from my online banking or my moves spreadsheet. So when I start deducting these amounts and start posting them to the expenses that they go, then I'm looking for this number that's in purple. I'm looking for this number to go to 100% zero. So now we got to balance this, and then we'll get into the how we're moving from month to month. So I got 5 expenses that I'm going to enter all simultaneously into my entertainment expense. All right. So here's my entertainment expense. The current balance is zero. The current amount is available for me to spend is zero. So let's see what happens. Since the formula bar up here is already full, I'm just going to push F2 on my keyboard, and the formula bar is going to appear here. And I'm going to start deducting these amounts because these are debits and they're in the deduction column. So I'm gonna go minus 0.50 minus 102.50 minus 60, and I'm getting these amounts right over here from my money spreadsheet. I'm getting them from over here. So that's the first three. It was 60 was the last one. Then I'm gonna jump over to this one right here, 66.28 and 780. So now minus 66 minus 28 minus 7.80, enter. All right, now I have those all entered in. That leaves me with a negative amount relative to my entertainment expenses. So I'm negative in entertainment expenses, negative the amount that I have to spend, theoretically negative. That leaves a balance of negative 2804 because I have not entered this 2804 in grocery. So first of all, I'm going to mark the ones that I entered for entertainment. Those three plus these three, I'm going to mark them all red so that I don't re-enter them and I can indicate that they have been marked. Now I'm going to enter this grocery entry. So here's grocery, and here it shows on my moves spreadsheet, it shows that I'm negative $54.33. Such a bad boy. So I'm negative that amount now, but that's okay. I'm gonna show you how it's reconciled. All right, so I'm negative 50.34, and since the formula bar up here is already full, or I can just drop it, I can expand it, and then I can go ahead and make an entry right here. But usually I just like to push F2 on my keyboard, and that'll bring all of these transactions up Either way it gets done. So I'm going to go, since I got it open, minus 28.04, enter now. Now that amount for groceries changes into negative 82.37 available. Negative available. I know. Well, I'm going to get to it. But overall, down here at the bottom in purple, what do we see? I'm balanced. So now everything balanced. My money spreadsheet is balanced. And my management spreadsheet, it stays balanced. It always has zeros. As you can see there, there's always zeros on that. It stays balanced, right? And also my moves spreadsheet. Now, let's think about some stuff now. This is what I have to think about. All right, so since I have these negative balances, right, I always use this corrective actions formula right here. It's just a simple formula showing what um corrective actions I need to make in order to make sure that I keep all of these finances in order. So, in this particular case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, well, I'm going to create, first of all, this shorts amount here. I'm going to do some checks and balances here. What am I short total? So, what I do is I say on my keyboard plus over here on this amount plus this amount plus this amount, all those negative amounts. And when I hit enter, it's going to show that the cells that I'm referencing from my moves spreadsheet are going to populate in this particular cell on my money spreadsheet. So enter, and it says, okay, your total amount of shorts that I show, the total amount of shorts that I show on my moves spreadsheet is negative 382.17. Now, here in the reconciliation box, I want to individually determine what those amounts belong to as far as the expenses. So I know that one was grocery, one was house needs, and one of them is entertainment. So there are three total. Over here on the move spreadsheet, it shows negative 35 for house needs, negative 82.37 for groceries, and negative 264.80 for entertainment. So I got the one for groceries, I got the one for house needs, but I see the one for entertainment is missing. So I'm going to push plus on my on my keyboard, and then I'm going to reference in this particular cell the amount that I am negative on my move spreadsheet, and I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to populate over here into my money spreadsheet, and it's going to make everything line up. So the total shorts is 382.17 negative. The individual shorts shown here, the individual negative amounts are 387.17, and these two amounts represent the corresponding colors that I'm having in, so everything checks out and everything balances like it's supposed to. Now let's move over here into the next income column of my corrective actions formula. Little here, my little checks and balances. This is where money moves around. So what I'm saying is, like, my next income plus my deficit is going to equal to what I'm going to have left over. So in theory, I'm trying to determine, okay, like I do it every month in the middle of the month, like I say, okay, well, next week, next week, next week. In this particular case, that was for January. This is for February. What am I getting for next month to cover this deficit? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a simple formula right quick. Ready? Here we go. Plus this negative amount. So I'm going to say plus on my keyboard. Then I'm going to arrow over to the negative amount that shows there. Plus, what am I going to get for groceries next month? $89. I got that right there, and push enter. And that shows that I'm going to have $6.63 when I get paid next week on the 4th. I'm going to do that same thing for the entertainment. Plus that negative amount plus what am I getting for entertainment? $65, okay? That results in me going to still be short in entertainment $199.80. Let's see what happens for house needs. plus this negative $35 that's over there, plus what am I getting for house needs in on the next time I get paid? I'm getting $40. So that's going to leave me with a positive $5 to spend in my house needs expenses. So now I have to say, okay, well, I'm still going to be total short 100 because all of this adds up to being short a negative 188.17. This is what I'm going to do about that. Now I know that my money moves. This $462 isn't just going to stay in last month, which was January. It's not going to stay there. I'm moving it into my management plan of February, which is the next month. And I'm saying, okay, now that I've moved that money over and I'm adding it to the income that I'm expecting to get, it's going to result in me being short 188.17 of the total amount that I was short, 382.17. So I need to make a decision. Do I want to take these shorts or these negative expenses along into the next month with the money that I'm carrying over? So remember at the beginning of the video I said, "Hey, I usually move or roll over both my money and my expenses because they just don't stay stagnant in the last month. They move over." So, in this particular case, these negative amounts, I can either choose to leave them negative and move them over, or I can find a way to zero them out and move them to next month and just start the month fresh with the money I'm bringing over and the expenses I'm bringing over. Because some of these expenses carry over anyway. So this is what I normally do. I try to make everything in this column zero before the end of the month. That's why I try to that I so I'll leave a few days into the next month in order to see what expenses I'm going to have, and then I'm going to determine, okay, do these expenses belong to the previous month or do they belong to the new month? And in this particular case, I'm going to say yes, these expenses, like those entertainment expenses, since I was already completely used all the money from January. I used all of that money already. I'm going to say, okay, well, I'm going to use some of the February money to cover some of the expenses that I had in January. So yes, I'm going to roll over this 264 and $80 negative into next month. Just like I'm going to take over this whole 462.94, I'm going to move the expenses with it. Now, one option that I have is I can say, well, I can take some of these funds from these other expenses and I can clear out some of these negative amounts. For instance, say if I wanted to get rid of this negative 264.80 and I see here, oh, I have $400 available to for the auto fund right here. I have this $400 available for the auto fund. I could use 264.80 of that to zero out my entertainment. And this is what that would look like. I go over here to the auto fund, I push F2 and I say minus shift parentheses open and adjustment minus 264.80 shift parentheses close adjustment, enter. All right. So now that left the auto fund with 135.20, but it leaves me here with an unbalanced amount of $64. I mean $264.80. I'm gonna use that 264 right here. I'm gonna go on my keyboard, F2 plus open adjustment, 264.80 shift parentheses close adjustment. And now that results in the entertainment being zero. So what did I do? I just moved money from my auto fund to my entertainment expenses. And that allowed me to go into the next month with a zero balance in entertainment. So when I look over here in entertainment on my corrective actions, it shows that, hey, you're going to have $65 left over in your entertainment balance because that's what you're getting from your management plan spreadsheet. That's what you're purposely getting the next time you get paid. You're getting $65 indicated right here. So that's something I can choose to do. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna choose I'm gonna choose that route. Now, what about the other deficits? What about this $35? All right. So since I have a note here, see this note that I made saying on a particular day, which has actually passed, but the transaction hasn't come through on the bank statement yet. Oh no, it did come through. I see it over here now. I see it right over here. There's that $98 and 84 cents. So this should be deleted now. So that means that none of this money is going to be coming out anymore. So that means I have it available either to spend it on auto fund or to carry it over for auto funds for the next month, or I could use it to clear out some of these balance. Well, let's take a look at what I got left. I got 35 plus 82.37 is 117.37. Well, I got 135.20 right there. So, hey, might as well clear it out and start the new month with all zeros and positive numbers. That's how I see it. So, I'm going to go here, F2 minus opens adjustment 35 shift parentheses close adjustment. So now I got $35 that I can move over here. F2 plus shift open parentheses adjustment 35 shift close parentheses adjustment, enter. Now house needs goes to 0. What is the corrective actions plan look like? Here's house needs. Now I got $40 that's gonna be available when I get my when I get paid next. Now let's look at the next one. $82.37 negative in groceries. 82.37 negative in groceries. All right. Well, since in my auto fund I got $100.20, I say, okay, well, I'll just take 82.37 of this 120 and I'll give it to groceries. No big deal, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go here, push F2 on my keyboard. I'm going to push minus shift shift parentheses open adjustment. What was that? 82.37 82.37 shift parentheses close adjustment, enter. Now that changes that to 1783, and I got 82.37 down here at the bottom to use. I'm going to use it right here. F2 on my keyboard to open up the formula so I can see what I'm doing, or I can do it up here in the formula bar since I have the formula bar drop down, and I'm going to say shift parenthesis. Okay, I got to put a plus sign first. Plus shift parentheses open adjustment 82.37 shift parentheses close adjustment, enter. The reason I do that parentheses thing is so if I'm ever looking for a particular amount like this 82.37, I'm like, well, where did I get that 82.37 from? I can walk through all of these. I can look in the formula bar up here, and I can walk through all of these cells and find out where that number appears, and bam, it's right there. See how I walked through it and then I found it? It's right there. I say, oh yeah, I transferred or I adjusted money from my auto fund and I gave it to my grocery fund. So that's how I do that. Now I can go into next month with a clean slate here pretty much. So what I'm going to do now is like when I transition and I start getting new balances that'll come up for the next time I open my online checking account, it's going to be a different amount. It's not going to be this 462.94. What I'm going to do is I'm just like all of these transactions, I'm going to make them go away. And this is how I do it, right? See, these transactions here, those were all transactions from the previous month. The transactions shown up here in the formula bar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase these transactions, and then I'm going to create a new file and I'm going to name that file to represent the month that the current month that I'm working in. And so this is how that happens. I'm going to say, okay, let me show you from this point of view. You see in this auto fund, I'm going to say it's not going to be zero. See, in the previous months over here, there were zeros except for this one. Now it is zero. So now that this is zero, I'm going to change this to zero, saying that the previous month was zero. I'm going to reverse that right quick so I can show it. I have to clear out all of these amounts because I want this spreadsheet to represent what I'm moving or rolling over. I'm rolling over all of this. All of these zero amounts and all of these positive amounts here, they're going to be rolling over. So this is what the rollover looks like. So since this is zero up here, I'm going to say, hey, plus zero, enter. What I just did is I took away all of the record of the transactions made for this particular expense. And I say I'm starting fresh and anew. So those transactions that were normally there, I'm going to push Control Z, which is undo, so that you can see it. Here in my formula bar, it says that these are the transactions that I made in the previous month. But what I'm going to say now is like, okay, I want this cell to reflect the amount that resulted in all of these transactions happen, which is zero. So I'm going to say, okay, this previous month carryovers is zero. Enter. Now I'm going to tell this cell here that represents the ongoing balances that I don't want it to represent the transactions that happened last month. I want it to represent the result of those transactions. And the result is going to be plus, scoot over there, and move over there with the arrow key, and I'm going to push enter. So now we're saying, okay, we're starting fresh. This month we start at zero for this particular expense. Not for the money. The money has moved over already. It's representing this bank balance. See, this bank balance is represented. So this is the movement of the money. Now I'm moving the expenses. So this expenses also started off at zero. So it's going to be zero here, which is I already have it in. Really don't have to enter it. But I'm going to change. I'm going to get rid of these transactions. So I'm going to say plus that zero plus that zero, keep going, plus that zero. Now this one, I said, oh, well, this one previous month carryover was 320, but now since it's zeroed out, then it's gonna be zero. I'm not carrying over. So now you see what happened? Because I still have last month's transaction, it's saying no, it's negative 320, but that's not true. Since I'm in a new month and I've moved the expenses over, I'm gonna say plus what I'm carrying over for last month. Last month was zero. Yeah, now that's true. That's the same thing that's gonna happen down here. I'm gonna skip down here. I'm gonna change this number from 652 to 700 to 1783. Why? Because I'm moving my expenses to a new month. So here we are. 1783 17.83 enter. All right. So now I'm going to say, okay, currently it's going to be plus what I moved over, 1783, and that's how it's done. Same here. Now that I got down to here, it's 113. So I'm gonna move the 113 over 113, and then I'm gonna go over here and it's gonna change to double that amount. But I'm like, that's not true. It's actually what I moved over. So now I'm moving 155 for the auto needs and accessories. 155, shoot back over here. Now I want this to represent 155 because that's what I'm moving over. Charity, it was $5 that I moved into the past month, but now it went up to $10. So I'm saying, okay, so that's gonna be 10. So now it's gonna be $10 that I moved over. Now I got 5 left over. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move that leftover amount for this expense and giving. I'm gonna say this is what's carrying over from the previous month, and I'm gonna say, hey, what's carried over from the previous? What's current? So this represents the previous month column, and this represents the current month. And I'm moving everything that's left over, I'm moving it over here to indicate now I want to display what I'm carrying over. That's zero already, that's zero already, that's zero already, zero zero. Here, $7.75. That was what I have left over. I'm going to put it in over here, 7.75. I'm going to go over here twice plus what I have left over, and it's 7.75. All right. It only changes to that positive amount because I didn't move it yet. Let me show you again. So the next one for this life insurance, right, is going to be due next month in the new month on the 21st. So I'm going to be telling myself, oh, here's the 100. This is $108. I know that these are the past expenses because it's already I'm 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 conducting this transaction on the day of my closing or the day that I'm moving these expenses. So these must be old transactions up here. So I'm going to take this old amount and I'm going to put it in the column saying, "Hey, I'm carrying it over 108." But when I do that, it it this causes, since this is a simple formula referencing the amount that I moved, it's causing the old money to blend with the new money, and I don't want that. So I'm going to say no plus the old money that I moved over, and then it goes back to what it's supposed to be, and that's how it's done. Same here. I have zero here in this cell to represent the haircut and self-care expenses, but I know that these are old transactions. These are old transactions. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say, okay, I carried over zero from the month before that, which was month before this. I did all of this, which was December, and now I'm in January. Now I'm carrying over the January zero into February. So this is the January zero. I'm gonna move it over. I'm gonna say plus this plus the transactions I make in this next month, which is currently at the recording of this video, February. 736 happening for the drip and clothing and supply. 7.36 moving over. I'm going to say plus that 736. Got 39 for some side hustle expenses. 39, move it over. Plus what I moved over, change it back to 39. And all of these are all the zeros that they were, except this one right here. I'm going to change this to 0 plus that amount. Still keeps everything balanced. And now I have displayed that I've moved my money, my 462.94, and my expenses. Everything's moved. So now I can save this file. I'm going to save it as a new I'm going to save it on my desktop as a completely new file. And I'm just going to call that file February tutorial. All right, so now I have a new file ready for new amounts and new balances and things of such. So this is how the whole process works every month for me. Again, the money doesn't just disappear. Or I don't say, "Oh, I got all of this extra money, I can move it and I can, or no, I can use it wherever I want." No, that money is meant for something. If you don't, or if I don't purposely use that money and record those expenses, they're going to go into la la land, and you don't want, and I don't want that, and you definitely don't want that for your situation as well. You know, because it puts me in a position where I used to be in a position where I was like, well, what happened to that money and what happened to those expenses? Then bills don't get paid on time because I didn't have that thought process until I started writing it down. A very important thing to remember is that you need to make sure that you write the vision and make it plain. Write the vision and make it plain. I know to some of you that sounds familiar, but when you write something down, it allows you to see it in real time, and your mind doesn't have to do all of the guesswork and the overthinking, and it causes the stress and in the stress to go away and the peace to multiply in a manner that it causes you to be in more control of your finances and your money moving management. So If this video has been helpful for you, give me a like, and subscribe to the channel. Also, share this video with somebody who you think will know, will you think it will help, so that they also will know how to make moves from one month to another and keep their finances in order. So until next time, this has been Mike's Money Management Move. Thank you for watching.